Welcome back guys, I know you're all waiting for the new best, most powerful build for Cyberpunk patch 2.0 and here it finally is. This build can be totally stealth, it has 100% crit chance, one-shots everyone and it will deal thousands of damage with every bullet it shoots. And it literally has infinite amounts of RAM. So this build is the ultimate new hybrid build for net running, gunfighting and everything else you want to do in Cyberpunk 2077. This build is 100% valid for very hard and everything you see in this video has also been recorded on very hard difficulty. And the best is you can make this build with all your existing characters. You don't even have to start a new game, you will have enough Cyberware capacity to get everything you need for this build. In general, I recommend you to play a bit more careful in Cyberpunk 2.0 and use silencers on your weapons to make use of the insane high stealth damage modifier, but if things go wrong, you can also just switch to net running and create havoc in Night City. The best suitable gun for this build, as I said in my previous video, is probably the Pride, which has insane stats with over 420% headshot damage and 100% critical damage. And the special ability of the Pride will also give you 100% crit chance every time. But don't worry, there are also very powerful replacements. However, getting infinite RAM was a bit more difficult. For that I recommend you to use the Arasaka Mark V, because that already gives you +5 RAM slots whenever you kill an enemy with a quick hack. And since the new overclock ability uses your health instead of RAM, health refill perks such as the one on Suicide Quick Hacks will also refill your RAM. And that can further be abused by using the biomonitor, which automatically refills your health once it gets too low, and with heal on kill, which also gives you over 7% health every time you kill an enemy. Everything that normally refills your health will also work as a RAM refill as long as you're using overclock. You can actually play this build in so many ways. What I also found out is that smoke grenades are actually now worth using. Normal gang members are now immediately detecting you when you are using your camouflage mod. But the smoke grenades are solving this problem, which makes farming a lot easier. Normal story locations without gang members don't have this problem and you can use your optical camo and be completely stealthy as before. And if things get too ugly, you should seek an elevated position and start using quick hacks on your enemies. Always use your overclock ability and then simply spam suicide and short circuit as much as you can. Every time you kill an enemy, you will almost entirely refill your complete health bar. And don't forget, you can also use your cyber deck to slow down time. So if you are in the middle of a fight, you can simply lock on your enemies, place a suicide on him and he will immediately stop shooting at you. This is a really nice Sandevistan replacement if you know how to use it. But now let's finally check out the build guys. The best weapon you can probably use right now is the Pride, which you can get in the Rogue ending. But don't worry, there are also very good replacements for it. If you don't see the high stats, then don't worry, these are usually only added when you are in combat and shooting high threat enemies. For the mods I suggest use the Kanotsugu optics, which is simply the best scope in my opinion, because it now also gives you 3% crit chance. In the other mod slot, of course, you have to place a silencer to get stealth damage. Stealth damage is a multiplier for your base damage, so the more stealth damage you have, the more damage you will deal. And still the best silencer in the game is the XC10 Strix. It only has 10% damage reduction and the maximum stealth damage. There's also another silencer which has only a 5% damage reduction, but it is actually way worse. I've set up a perfect situation to compare both of these silencers, and the XC10 Strix deals over 3327 damage on a target which was completely unaware. If we do the same with the CS1 Taipan, we only get 2170 damage. So the XC10 Strix with over 150% stealth damage is way better than the Taipan. So if you want to play stealthy, then always use this silencer. There's also a really good replacement for the Pride, which is the Death in Texas. The Death in Texas shoots 2 bullets in rapid succession, which means it actually deals a double amount of damage than normally. Of course, we also equip a Kanotsugu optics and the same XC10 Strix silencer on it. And if things are getting too far away, you can use the Overwatch. The Overwatch has a built-in silencer, so it is also basically a stealth weapon, and it also has a 300% headshot damage modifier. Our operating system, as I already said, will be the Arasaka Mark V. The Arasaka Mark V is the only operating system that gives you 5 RAM slots every time you kill an enemy with a quick hack. And this is just way better than having a lot of max RAM. RAM refill is way more important than having max RAM, because with overclock we have enough RAM anyway. So it is much more important to refill your RAM than having lots of it. Of course, the most important quick hacks are short circuit and suicide. Suicide is especially important because it also gives gives you 10% health back whenever you kill an enemy with it, which is basically the same as getting more RAM when you use overclock. I've also tested system collects, but it only reduces the RAM cost of itself and not from other quick hacks. If you want to have some fun, you can use cyberpsychosis, but that is definitely not for stealth. Contagion is also really nice. It is actually quite powerful since all enemies are also having reduced amounts of health. Overheat is also quite nice, and if you upload ping before short circuit, you will get a 60% damage boost on short circuit. In the cyberware slot you should use optical camo, and the only closing piece which is worth to mention is your eyewear, because there is an eyewear you can buy from the Netrunner shops that gives you 10% quick hack upload speed. So this is definitely the best eyewear you can get, because it is the only one that seems to have a value on it. Since closing is not important anymore, we can directly go to the cyberware. For this build we will be using the Edgerunners perk, but we will not fully utilize it to not drain our health too much. You can actually directly make this build after installing patch 2.0 with your existing level 50 character, and if you continue to play with patch 2.0 you can further add more cyberware to make it even more powerful. In the frontal cortex we will use the bioconductor, because the bioconductor now gives you 37% crit chance for your quick hacks. If you have more capacity, you can also add X disk. That gives you an additional 6 max RAM, which actually counters the RAM loss from the bioconductor. But I don't want to drain my health too much, so for the moment I won't equip it. Since we don't use any melee items, I also don't want to waste any capacity on my arms. So we are going to remove the arms cyberware. And there's actually a little glitch, because when you never changed it before, you first have to change your arms cyberware to a different one before you can actually remove it. In the skeleton I basically go for the stuff that gives me the most armor, so we will go for the skeleton that gives 220 armor, and for Parabellum that gives me 120 armor, but it also has a 13% boost on armor, so we will get over 200 in total. In the nervous system we will go for the reflex tuner. It slows down time, and anything that slows down time is always good for us. Same for the synaptics accelerator, it also slows down time when we are low health, so that basically saves us from dying, and anything that saves us from dying is extremely good in patch 2.0, especially on higher difficulties. Then of course we go for the optical camo and for the pain editor. Pain editor still is very good, reduces all your incoming damage. There are also additional options such as pain Deucer, which gives you a lot of armor, and also the cellular perk, which also gives you a ton of armor and additional bonuses. The operating system, as already explained, will be the Arasaka Mark V, because it is much more important to refill our RAM, and it gives us 5 RAM whenever we kill an enemy with our quick hacks. That is much more important than having a lot of max RAM, because we get so much RAM from overclocking anyway. The Kiroshi optics should also be changed. The default one, which you equip at the Ripper Dog if you start patch 2.0, costs 2 capacity, and I switched it to one that costs only 1 capacity. I only use the Smart Link to get 2 additional max RAM here in this build, and the Ballistic coprocessor is only used to get the additional perks like 4% headshot damage and 1.4% quick hack damage. Then of course we will go for a second heart. It still revives you on death, so it is definitely the best cyberware in patch 2.0. Same for the biomonitor, which also refills your health once you get low, and you will definitely get low when using overclock. So this basically refills your entire RAM when you go overclocked. And Heal on Kill will also benefit you, because it gives you an additional 7% health every time you kill someone. And then of course don't forget to get the tendons for your double jump. If you want to reroll some of the perks under your cyberware, I would recommend you go for more health, more armor, health refill, stealth damage or quick hack damage. And of course more headshot damage also can't hurt. Last but not least, let's check out the skills, and at the moment I went all in on tech, cool and intelligence by putting 20 points in all these categories. I only have 4 body and 4 reflex, because reflex was overrated and it still is overrated, especially in patch 2.0. In the cool tree we will first go for the stealth stuff, quick getaway, killer instinct for the stealth damage, and gag order for increased detection time. Then we'll go for fill-in footwork for the increased movement speed, and we'll also go for the mitigation stuff, especially for blind spot, because blind spot actually makes all your mitigation delay your detection, which is actually really helpful if you go stealthy. We will also get ninjutsu for more movement and more mitigation chance, and creeping death, especially when you use optical camo together with overclock, you will get even more health when killing your enemies. More health means more RAM, so that's a super synergy for overclock for netrunners. Then of course we get the focus skill, which removes all the stamina and dead eye. The Dead Eye finisher makes every headshot be an automatical crit, which also really helps the death on Texas, so you can basically use any pistol and it has the same legendary effect like the Pride, which always makes a critical hit. Run and gun will also remove all the stamina from hip firing. The perks on the left side will increase our reload speed and refill our stamina in case we lose some. Head to head will prolong the effective focus, and deep breath will give us a small slight slowdown every time we have focus and Dead Eye. In tech we will go for the Cyberware tree, all things cyber, licensed to Chrome, and Edge Runner to get the maximum possible Cyberware capacity and all the maximum effects from it. Cyborg is definitely a perk you have to get when you fill out all your slots later in the game. Ambidextrous, definitely go for the additional hand Cyberware, even if it is only to get the additional damage modifiers. Extended warranty for the longer duration, Chrome Constitution for reduced damage, however this only works when you fill all skeleton slots, so maybe save that for later. Get Renaissance Punk for more capacity, and of course a driver update and shipware connoisseur to be able to select the new perks when upgrading your Cyberware. In intelligence, of course, we go for optimization and proximate propagation to decrease our RAM cost for close enemies. We move up the tree to get embedded exploit for more damage, Shadowrunner to remove all traces, system overwhelm will also give us more damage, and speculation is another perk that is really important to refill your RAM. Then of course we go for Overclock. Overclock is a must-have perk for any netrunner in patch 2.0. You can now activate your cyber deck similar to activating Sandevistan or Berserk. Overclock allows you to use your health instead of your RAM, which is basically the only way you can afford all those high quick hack costs. In order not to die, we also have to care about our health, so sublimation will also recover our health similar as recovering our RAM. Race Against Mind will even give us increased damage for our quick hacks when we overclock, and Power Surge is also a great way to fill our health before we use overclock. Spillover is actually not so powerful, but it is still nice to spread your quick hacks. Eye on the Sky is actually nice to highlight all the terminals to get more money. Then we go for Hack Queue that also gives us one more RAM slot, and Data Recycler just in case we upload more than one quick hack. We've actually only invested 1 point in body to get all the stuff here at the bottom, which is mainly used for our health regeneration, mitigation and damage reduction. For Reflex actually the same, we only invested 1 point here to get Slippery, which only reduces the chance to get hit when we are moving quicker. Anything else in the Reflex tree is really not needed because your katanas are really strong already. They really don't need a buff from the katana or melee tree here to the right, and the problem with the assault and SMG tree is that even if you put points into it, they are still not worth using. That's the reason I only went for Reflex 4. Maybe when Phantom Liberty drops, I will increase it to level 9 or level 15. I hope you really like this build and it helps you starting out with Phantom Liberty and patch 2.0. If you need some personal build advice or simply support this channel, consider to become a Patreon or YouTube member, and also check out our Discord server. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, leave me a like, and see you next time.